Phil, we want to take you.
Right back! Where are their things?
In your childhood that you felt were
unjust!
That made the pattern.
Of who you have become?
I'm gonna have to think about that. I'm gonna have to think about whether I want to tell you that as well. I was born in Coventry to a very stable, loving family. I was bullied a lot at school. Between the ages of, I guess, when I started to when I left Coventry at 10. Yes, you could say that that kicked off a hatred of unfairness. A lot of taunting.
Lanky!
Being laughed at. And I'll tell you something else that happened there as well. It was just about the time where people from the subcontinent started to move to the Midlands. There was one little girl from Bangladesh. Stupidity. She hardly spoke a word of English, and the rest of the class, they mocked her dreadfully. I remember thinking that it was so wrong, but you didn't do anything about it.
What could you do? You could have said something.
What would that do? Get it out there.
No one listens to little kids.
I remember trying to smile at her, but she wasn't allowed to smile at a boy. And it's like that feeling of isolation. I must have been about 8 years old. Maybe that started it. I've never really thought about it in too much of a linked way. It was just the way the world was. But it did make me feel unhappy.
You can make a difference.
When you're 8?
Yes.
Not on your own.
You can. And you will.
To cut a very long story short, after university, I received a leaflet offering me the chance to work voluntary overseas with Oasis Global Charity. And there I met my wife, Rachel.
No.
I was also on a placement in Mumbai, India.
A city of about 18 million people.
18 million? Thousands of street kids! We set up a drop-in centre on Town Railway Station.
It's medium-sized, about 8 or 9 platforms.
People live there, begging,
Doing menial jobs! Getting chased!
By the police!
Sleeping! On the roofs!
everyone comes into Town Station.
Kids come in from all over rural India, looking for the street paved with gold and white. They've seen the Hindi movies.
They know that's where it's all made.
Their parents migrate there in the hope of work.
Then, the kid gets lost.
Or the parent dies of AIDS.
We got to know those kids and set up a drop-in centre for them.
Sounds like a grand name for what it was.
2 small buildings with a gap between them.
We asked the owner to put a roof on the gap.
That was our drop-in centre.
We used to get 40 kids back from there.
Oh, they teach literacy,
Numeracy! Life skills!
and games such as
Cricket!
Giving them room to be kids.
Because they spend their whole time trying to earn money.
Trying to avoid the police or being beaten up by gangs.
It was somewhere safe, with food and time to enjoy themselves.
They could take a bath
Bath meaning bucket of water.
and a jug.
Then we set up a night shelter for about 15 in the same building.
But how did you decide who to take?
There are lots of different levels of street kids.
Some live in slums, and their parents send them out. Go out and beg!
But at night they would go home.
Or the family is on the street and they'll go back to their family.
Mum cooks a handful of rice over the fire.
But there's a hardcore on the station, on their own.
And that's who we were aiming at.
When we started the night shelter, it was just for boys.
Girls were always controlled by somebody. A family member, a pimp, or whatever.
This was when we started to realise about the exploitation of girls.
There was a growing fear of HIV in the early 2000s. Guys would think,
If you have sex with a virgin, well then it's safe.
If you have sex with a child and they're active as a prostitute, you're more likely to have contracted the disease because of the physical damage it does to them.
There was another myth.
If you are HIV positive and you have sex with a virgin, you lose the infection.
So there was a growing trade with younger and younger girls.
And sometimes boys.
Being forced into prostitution.
And there was the sale of children.
Brother and sister, Suni, and Viney. Viney was about 9 and Suni was about 7. They lived on platform 1 of Tana Station with their
Alcoholic mum and dad. Dad was particularly unpleasant.
Suni and Viney were just kids.
They used to come along and play.
And be annoying.
You cook them a meal and they would complain about it.
You know, just the way it should be in some ways.
They were full of play and joy and would march out in umbrage.
But one day, they didn't come back.
Street kids often disappear for 1 or 2 weeks. Get on long distance trains, sweep the trains or sell things, keep the money.
And we'd say, where have you been?
Go what?
Well, we thought they had done that.
But after a week or so, when they didn't return, we went looking for their parents.
It was early morning, about 10 o'clock. We found their dad.
Drunk and lying on the floor.
I speak some Hindi, but we also work with great Indian staff who translate for us. We haven't seen Suni and Viney for a week or so. Do you know where they've gone? Have they gone on the trains?
No. This man offered me 1,500 rubies for him.
That's just £20.
I needed booze, so I sold them.
Do you have any idea where they've gone?
No.
Don't you care?
Of course I bloody care. The bastard walked off of them and didn't give my bloody money.
How can you say that?
They're only children.
Do you have any idea where they are?
How do the police know?
The wife. She was just a few metres away. And she was just kind of glaring at him.
I got the impression that she did not want this to happen. But she couldn't do anything to stop it.
She had lost all kind of influence or self-control or whatever, because she was just constantly drunk. At that point, we went off to find the railway police to see if we could track them down.
The parents are just not bothered. They have spent their entire lives being told they don't count.
In the good moments, they're being given a plastic bag full of rust. And in the bad, people are just kicking them.
Look, I know the parents come over very badly in this story, and they did an incredibly awful thing. But when you consider all that they have been through in their lives, they have totally lacked all the love and the support and the sense of self-worth that we have had all the way through our lives. So they have had no standard of care to measure their decisions against.
There is a real prejudice towards such children. And although they are Muslims, they are mentally put in the same category as the untouchable caste. And, well, not regarded as worth helping.
Oasis now has a good relationship with police at city level. But back then, there was no mechanism in place for making the police take action.
What happened to Suni and Viney?
Nobody knows.
Kidnapped and sold into prostitution, forced labour, adoption,
Or even child sacrifice.
The story was passed on.
And as evidence gathered, we realised that this is happening on a huge scale.
This isn't just Mumbai, it's across India.
This isn't just India, it's Asia.
This isn't just Asia.
It's across the world.
It's not 200 years ago.
Not even 50 years ago.
It was.
And is.
Happening today.
We left Mumbai and came to take a position for Oasis in Europe. Well, I did.
Me? I decided to take a back seat because I was busy being a full-time mum while Phil started the campaign on human trafficking.